afternoon, everybody. I am Ross Skorzewski, your host of the Dr. Patrick Flynn Show. It is another exciting day here in the studio in Green Bay, Wisconsin, and sitting with me, as always, is Dr. Patrick Flynn, also known as the Hormone Whisperer, and I will continue to say this, the man who can speak to your hormones better than anybody else out there. Why? Because I've seen it, and it's true. It really does happen. Welcome for another 30 minutes that will be charged with great information as this man pontificates on great things concerning health, wellness, business, and personal growth and development. Dr. Patrick Flynn, my brother, how are you?
What does pontificate mean?
Pontificate? That's what the Pope does. When he speaks, he pontificates. He's spitting out truth. It's like when Pastor Mark Unger is teaching and preaching, and he's sharing his thoughts and opinions and ideas. He's pontificating.
Okay, so what does it mean? I don't know what pronoun, noun is. Remember, I never learned all this stuff in school.
Oh,
so,
my.
Yes.
Somebody look up pontificate and put it in the
See?
comments.
He doesn't
No,
even
I
know.
do. I just told you. Like when the Pope speaks and he delivers his oral address, he's pontificating. His thoughts, his beliefs, his doctrinal statements.
Yeah, but what a bad example because the Pope. You know what I'm saying?
Well, it has nothing to do. Like, why?
What's that?
Why? That's not a bad idea. It's a great idea because I'm elevating you to a place of greatness.
Yes, but I don't like little boys and stuff like that. So I know the Vatican
And
stuff.
we strike that from the record. As I told you, this is 30 minutes raw, unscripted, and if you don't like it, unlike, and tune into a different show. So what's been happening?
Lots.
True story.
Where do we start, ma'am?
I asked the question.
More offices across the country.
True.
The book's been going crazy.
Yes, the pre-sale.
Yes, book's been going crazy. The seminars have been amazing. We were down by Dr. Patty Long last week, and then we actually went over to Atlanta.
Yes. With Life University,
Yeah.
you did a little reach out to their student program, just continuing to talk about chiropractic philosophy, something that you're just passionate about, and a little bit more about the wellness way.
Yep. So there's a lot of great things, and the team keeps getting bigger.
Yes.
You know, we actually keep on hiring more amazing people.
Not physically speaking,
What's that?
bigger.
Oh, you totally lost me. Once again, is that pontificating?
Well,
is he
no,
pontificating?
that wasn't pontificating.
No. So I said so. A lot of great things, and actually it comes up with a question. We have a big training across country with all
Yes,
the
we
docs
do.
this upcoming Thursday. And
Our quarterly training.
What happens
yes.
is it's all about the consistent training and consistency moving forward. So we just, I'm extremely happy and appreciative and so excited every day for the constant growth, but it's also expected. See, I expect us to be 10 times better than 1 year from now. I expect us to be 10 times better from 1 year from that way. Not because, for example, that you just, it's given to us. It's actually consistently worked for that way.
Yes.
And I mean, everything that we do, it just consistently gets better. So yeah, so it's kind of exciting. So
Read that for me there, sir.
having trouble watching on the bus.
Well, I would imagine so. I meant, no, the pontificate. It's a verb.
Oh, I was just, you pointed to your mom's post. Okay, pontificate, Annie. It's a verb. Express one's opinion in a way considered annoying, pompous, and dogmatic. I'm not pontificating. I speak truth.
Well, so does the Pope in his mind, right? Anyways, it's a pontificate, or any other person who has a platform to speak, which is sometimes me.
Admit you sucked at a word that shouldn't have been used. You know what I'm saying? That's what it should have been. Instead of, I'm sorry, I shouldn't have used pontificate. We have to build upon it.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to do this kind of publicly here on Facebook.
Yes.
And Dr. Patrick Flynn, the Hormone Whisperer.
Does not
I am
pontificate.
truly sorry for using the word pontificate. I will strike that from my vocabulary whenever speaking of you ever again.
Thanks, man. Appreciate it. Okay, let's go on.
Well, not only speaking of, just constantly training, our quarterly training coming up. One of the biggest events, I mean, we have been totally just getting our minds wrapped around. We just left Atlanta back in March. We had a huge training there, but we're already prepping for Traverse City, August 17th and 18th coming up for a huge, it's an all-staff training for the Wellness Way. Once again, you're constantly pushing to make sure that your doc, your staff is constantly at a level that where you're not going to wait to see if they grow. You're going to make sure that they grow, because if you don't grow, you gotta
go.
You gotta go.
It's why, for example, there's people that actually hate the my name being said. Do you know what I'm saying? Because I'm always pushing people forward.
Yes.
And people get comfortable. You know what I'm saying? And here, this is the biggest thing. I can tell you right now, think of it this way. Men are getting worse and worse and worse with comfort. You don't believe me? Ask their women.
That's a good point.
So forget about work. Ask their women. And it's kind of funny, and I've said this. I had this conversation with a woman today, okay? For example, we did about a woman today. It's like, you want to see, ladies, guys, get this in your head. Women love a motivated, driven men. They do.
Yes.
They do. I mean, it doesn't matter what age group you're in. Brianna's back there. And Brianna, how old are you? 22? Yeah, it's like she's taking yes. You know what I'm saying? She doesn't want to date or marry a bump on the log.
But you know, the reality is, though, most of the guys in the very beginning, when they're chasing the girl, they are highly motivated.
Yes.
They are highly driven, and all of a sudden they get the ring and they say, I do, and
Actually, I will say this.
Game over.
I have to give Pastor Mark
On
a
the challenge!
If you haven't watched Sunday's service from Celebration Church, watch it. Because Mark said, and I wrote this down during the service that way. He said, just because you said I do doesn't mean you're done.
Yes.
I mean, that was
a huge
pretty
thing.
powerful right
Yes.
there. It's like, man, when you say I do, that said I do to do these things to actually get to the next level.
Exclusively
so when you
to
take a
you
job
until
with
the day
us,
you die.
That's right. When you take a job with us, it's I do, we're married, now we go to the next level. And I'm going to push you, and there's going to be times that you don't like me.
This is a true story, ladies and
And for
gentlemen.
example, and you
It
could be a
does happen.
doctor, you could be a staff, and I'm going to push you to a level because you want something is this. Because if you go to a high level, everybody notices it.
Yeah.
Do you say everybody notices that way? And they always say, what are you doing? And people go, whoa, people say it to me all the time, and I don't feel like I'm doing anything. Yeah, you are. You're growing.
And that's part of personal growth and development, too, is that a lot of people want to know those identifiers that really actually confirm that what you're doing is bringing about results. Just give it some time, and people will begin to speak on
You
your
might not
behalf.
even recognize it.
Exactly. Well, that's the problem. Most of the time you don't, but
People around you do.
Yes, exactly. And that's where you really get confirmation and validation that you're on the right track. What's that?
Wrong pipe. Water. No, but
Yep.
that's the thing. It's like the greatest thing, for example, one of our docs. Now get this. This is not a joke. When you start growing, what happens is, doesn't mean everybody around you is going to like it. I actually had a doc who's actually has been married for a long time, that his wife looked at him and said, you're not the person I married. And he goes, thank God I'm not.
Right.
He goes, I'm a 10 times better man and stuff like that. And she even said, well, you even dress different. I'm like, I'm like, oh my goodness. Well, you've been married for 20 years. I hope he does dress different.
And that is kind of, on these Wednesdays, we talk about personal growth and development with the quick hits with me. But with you in particular, you're talking about a lot of times really personal growth. When you really implement that growth strategy, there are people that celebrate it. And then there are people that will actually distance themselves. They will speak against you.
Which is the majority, which is 90% of the people, if not more, and I'm underestimating.
It's because you're really bringing it about this new growth strategy that is proving that they're not doing anything with their life.
Exactly. It makes them feel inadequate.
Yes.
It's like this. It's like when people, here, by nature, all moms, all you have to do is to be hated by other moms is feed your kids right.
True story.
Because once you start feeding your kids right, by nature, women, you only have to
speak up
address them.
against it.
Women say, what, you think I'm a bad mom?
You're
I'll
better-
just say
yeah.
yes. I will. I say, you're a bad mom. You know it's bad for them. It's called junk for a reason. You're a bad mom.
Yes.
But see, we're in this politically correct bullcrap world.
Can't offend
Man,
anybody.
I'll tell you, that's one thing. It's actually the defense mechanism of the progressive left. Why do they call themselves progressive? It makes no sense. It's regressive.
Yes.
I mean, next thing you know,
You can't even think.
well, next thing you know, what's going to happen is they're going to let girls in Boy Scouts. Oh
Well,
wait,
that's already
that crap is
happening. We don't have Boy
You
Scouts
understand?
and Girl Scouts. We just have what?
Now remember, they're doing something stupid called Scouts.
Scouts.
So let me say this. I'm speaking to the public right now. Here, let me tell you something. This is basic biochemistry. This is the hormone connection to a T. Okay? Think about this. A little boy and a little girl have hormones. Guess what? It causes them to do certain things. My hormones cause me to do something different than Lizzie, than different Nancy, and different Brianna. Okay? Therefore, our thought process, our actions, and how we get to point A to point B is very different. It doesn't mean that the woman can't get from point A to point B. It's just that it's different, how they deal with it, how they think about it that way. And to put them both together and think that they're supposed to think the same,
And
it's
equals.
a disaster waiting to happen.
Yes.
So let me tell you, Boy Scouts, right now, you are setting everything up for disaster. Disaster. You're trying to get two opposite sex people to think the same. Do you understand?
Yes.
And little boys and little girls are going to be confused because you're the morons. Let me say it again. Caption, Boy Scouts are morons, okay? Not the Boy Scouts organization, are morons thinking that they're gonna put little girls and little boys together and come up with the same conclusions. It doesn't work that way. We're good men. If we have me, you, Dr. Jason, and Greg in the same room, and we're talking about stuff, and you throw a woman in the mix, guess what happens?
The dialogue changes.
The dialogue changes
Absolutely.
that way. That's biological.
Well,
it's not
you're
our
just
opinion.
pigs. You're just perverts. Why does it have to change? Why can't it just be the same?
Because we're not the same. You get a bunch of 4 women, and here, let's take these 3 women right here, Lizzie, Brianna, and Nancy. Let's have them discuss something, throw in a guy in the mix, how we all interpret, think about, come to different conclusions, and here's the thing, and we can still come up with the same result. It's just the pathway is different.
Sure.
What we're going to try to do is the Boy Scouts are trying to make the path for a little girl the same, and they're going to hurt little boys. Let me say it right now. You're going to hurt little boys. We've already demasculated most men in this country that way,
right.
trying to make women out of them that way. And their biology, do you understand? Their biology causes them to be boys. Not my opinion, not the stupid. Who was this moronic expert they put on CNN? Well, CNN, that's the biggest bullcrap right there. Okay, CNN, this red-haired bimbo was on there talking about how you have to ask a baby. Google search this. This was just 2 days ago. You have to ask a baby permission to change its diaper.
Yes.
What a moron.
What a great conversation that's going to be. No, Mom.
She probably
I'm
does
actually
gentle
enjoying
parenting
this.
bull crap too, where it's like I can discuss
Try to reason
stuff
with
my
a child.
4-year-old.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? It's like, oh my goodness. Oh my good. Here, reason with your 2-year-old to not touch the stove. You know what I'm saying? No, let them touch the stove when it's hot once. You don't have to ever reason with them again. You know what I'm saying? It's
You might have to have a conversation as a 43-year-old, though, to tell him not to put his hand in a snowblower.
That never happens.
No, never happened. Hey, they're coming back.
But that's a biological thing. That is actually a hormonal thing. You stick women and men in the same room, they may even come to the exact same conclusion.
Yes.
They may even but how the roadmap gets there, their brains,
Completely
their hormones,
different.
their thought processes work dramatically different. And should consider men and women make the same decisions actually only adds to confusion. Now you do that to young kids with, they, for example, figuring themselves
Yes,
out.
when it comes to identity.
Boy Scouts,
yes.
you're hurting young men. You're going to make them a bunch of wusses. Nancy, make a clip out of that and say, Boy Scouts, you're making little boys a bunch of wusses, and you're going to get them to try to think like women, and they're going to be confused, and they're going to be the ones disrupted, and we're going to suffer from this. So 20 years from now, when all these things, for example, you know what the cool thing is this, though? Here's one thing I love about it. The Boy Scouts, let me call it right now. What's the date today?
Today is the 15th.
May 15th.
Yes.
Guess what happens? Because they're going to fall into the political correctness, the Boy Scouts, just like every other organization that follows this political correct bullcrap, is going to die. Because you know something is this. The organization may be pandering to these ridiculous groups of minorities. Do you understand?
But they have the loudest voice.
Yep. Well, remember, they give a loud voice because they're stupid. We think we can't tell them. You know, it's really funny. People think you can't tell them what they're doing is stupid. Do you understand? Do not teach that my child, if my girls are told that they are gender unspecific, I'm going to punch that teacher in the face that would say that to my child.
That's right.
Do you understand? I would slap you right across
I'm
the face.
parent. I make those decisions.
That's right. It's like, well, no, we don't make decisions. You're a freaking boy. You're a freaking girl.
Yes.
Guess what? There is no gender dysphoria. Like, oh my goodness, they don't know who they are. No, you're messing them up. Okay. But guess what? The Boy Scouts will die, and it'll be exciting because what happens is this. It will.
It will be
the Boy
exciting.
Scouts, after 100 and some years of being extinct, will die, which is awesome. Because there's enough people, just like when people didn't like Trump getting voted, there's enough people that go, you're an idiot. They call themselves the silent majority. I promise you, as long as I am live, I will never be the silent majority. I will be the voice majority.
Yep.
I'm going to yell and scream, and I can see, good thing is this, I can take the criticism. A lot of people can't. A lot of people can't handle the criticism of saying, well, Doc, oh my goodness, you upset that gay person because you said that the boys and girls can't be together. Okay, good, you're gay, it's great, I don't care. But don't tell me I have to live with your bull crap.
Right.
Do you understand? I don't have to.
No.
It's like, and a lot of us don't have to, so that's the point. It's like, because you are messing up, actually, you know something? You're making them psychologically sick. You are. Do you understand? You're taking your sickness. Yes, gender dysphoria is a sickness. It's not real, okay? Yeah, you may think it's real because you're sick. We used to call something that, we used to call that crazy years ago.
Sure.
We used to.
Absolutely.
We used to call stupid stuff crazy. You can't anymore because you can't offend the family member, it can't offend the kid. No, actually, it's the greatest thing to say you're wrong. What you're thinking is wrong. Well, they commit suicide. Yes, do you understand gender disrupted people commit massive suicide because they're mentally sick?
Yes.
It's not because they're bullied. You know what I'm saying? I was bullied as a kid. You were bullied as a kid.
I'm still bullied.
He's still bullied. He's not jumping from 43 bridge.
No.
Do you understand? It's
I might
mentally
bungee
ill.
jump, but
So
yeah, it is crazy. It does put into a whole different spin this whole concept of, identity. And, you know,
Yeah.
for my son who's 12 years old, I couldn't imagine. If he was in the Boy Scouts right now knowing this, I'd yank him in a heartbeat.
Well,
and
that's
then
what's
I'd
gonna
have
happen.
the conversation.
That's what's gonna happen.
And educate my child.
Because you have this moron president that says, we have to, no, you don't. We have to stop supporting crazy. We have to stop supporting crazy. Heck, half the stuff in healthcare is crazy. Do you understand? If you look at what happens medically, do you understand that the majority of women are antidepressants because they don't realize that that's normal? Women's hormones dictate and change 4 times in the month. That means mentally they change. Women have this hard concept that they're supposed to be mentally and strong all the time.
Yes.
Ladies, let me tell you, it's virtually biologically impossible. It's biologically impossible. Your emotions are supposed to change weekly. You are a different person.
And that's
your
not a
husband.
sign of weakness either.
No.
And that's been part of the crazy. And that's why I love, you know, when I go to watch you do your Hormone Connection seminar, when I hear you talk about your book, there is a section in there where you talk about this, where women begin to talk to you and they go, so what you're saying, I'm not crazy.
You're normal.
You're actually validating the cycle
strength
of normalcy, but they've been told a lie.
Well, here, if you think of it this way, we're gonna do a quick tip on this. Okay? We're gonna do a quick tip.
Write this down.
No joke. We're gonna do a quick tip on Dr. Flynn's view on abortion.
Hoo-ah.
Oh, you should see my team.
Come on.
We're gonna do a quick tip on abortion. Okay? Now,
You want to talk about hate mail?
we're gonna do a quick tip on an abortion. And here's why. I'm gonna tell you, if you guys study this, see, you want to talk about appreciation for women. I think you and I have the greatest appreciation for women in their bodies.
Yes.
Okay? Do you understand, if you actually look at what a woman's body goes through in a month, you understand why they can have kids and we can't? Because the emotional ups and downs that pregnancy does to a woman, the cycle prepares that mental up and down that a guy could never handle.
I can't even handle me, and I'm not a woman.
Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Because
I'm
they
just
can
saying.
they can go through extreme pain. They can get cut open. Their vagina can be ripped open like crazy to their butt, and guess what? They still go back for more. Every mother's
Yes,
going,
I
every
know.
mom right now is going, yep.
Yep, happens.
You know what I'm saying? And to be able to come back and deal with that emotional thing all over again, that's
And
special.
have 3 more children and
Yeah.
go through it all over and over
You know what I'm
again.
saying? But here's what happens. I'll give you a little tidbit. I've been really thinking about this, and I want the networks to catch this. Do you understand the minute that egg and that sperm come together, the female body transforms. So it has, you know, people say, oh, it's a bunch of cells. You know why? They're forgetting about the environment that created that. That mother's body transforms to like nothing ever seen before, and it would freak you out if you understand the biochemistry and physiology behind it. Do you see what I'm saying?
You're freaking me out.
It's amazing. It's actually, the female body is so freaking cool, it's ridiculous. You know what I'm saying? And that's why I said, and they
But
can
yet
give
they're
birth.
equal. They're the same as a guy.
They're not even close. Men
I'm
and women are
just
not
saying-
equal. There's heck,
Well, then I should be able to have
women's,
kids.
dude, you give up on a poop after a minute. Talk about delivering a kid. He's like, oh, I gotta poop. Yeah, it's a
I
poop.
quit. I'm out.
I give uncle. You know what I'm saying? But it's not a joke. And what happens is, and so I've been really watching the transformation of female, because I do it so much fertility stuff and biology. And if you watch the biochemistry and how everything morphs, and you understand that if you rip that baby out during abortion, the female body doesn't change that quickly. It
can't
only
handle that
changes
abrupt,
that
huh?
quickly when it actually is released properly. And so what happens is abortion leaves a mother's body in a very devastated state.
Wow.
See, we're talking so much about the baby and don't really realize what it does to the mom. And when they rip that out, it's very emotionally and physically confusing to the mom, and it can devastate
Which that
the rest of her
also
life.
adds to the body's inability to get back to normal function. Stress,
Oh, sure.
anxiety, I mean, so depression, all of that, not talking, putting
So-
together the physiological approach too.
So
Come on.
Sean Hannity, call me. Watch my quick tip on abortion. Ben Shapiro, which I absolutely love. I think Ben
Yes.
Shapiro is one of the great
Great
minds
voice.
of today.
Absolutely.
Ben, give me a call. I will give you a great biochemical stance on it that nobody's going to do.
Or anybody that wants to debate you.
Yeah.
How about that? I would
Yes.
love to see that. Someone to actually step up and challenge you and be willing to debate you.
Yes, I love it. I would love it. You Sam?
yeah,
Because
absolutely.
they would debate on opinions and feelings.
Yes.
I'm actually going to stick to biochemistry, physiology, and how the male and female body actually works that you can look up in any book. It's just that the perspective of medicine has so adulterated the incredibleness of the human body, that we depend on stupidity of man and business and money and profit instead of the glorious thing that we were created. See, if you actually understand how I view the female body, and yeah, people say, well, Doc, you say women can't handle stress. Yes, they're not meant to handle stress like a man. Their biology's not. But what the female body can accomplish that the male body couldn't even think of doing, man, you have to understand that. And see, and having a wife that was sick and possibly couldn't do that, I had to understand her body at such a high level,
Yes.
even to the point that she doesn't even understand. And then, because why? Because I am an observer. Do you understand? Sometimes to learn, you have to shut up and observe and think. Most people become too much of learners.
Yes.
And they listen from really stupid people.
Yeah.
Like,
and they just
like the progressive
regurgitate
left.
talking points. That's
Yes.
it. Yep.
It's like, yeah. And that's what happens. The progressive left is hurting our marriages. The progressive left is hurting our biology. The progressive left
kids.
is our kids just devastating
Yeah.
that way.
Yeah.
Because you think it's not going to be tough for, you say, Doc, you're talking about politics, you're talking about hormones. Yeah, you know why? Because putting a little boy and little girl to accomplish the same merit badge and actually asking them to work together, you're just
confusion.
causing problems.
Yes.
You're causing confusion. 3 little boys hanging out and 3 little girls hanging out act directly different. You throw 1 little girl in that mix with 3 little boys. You know something? I had sisters. I didn't have any boys, you know what I'm saying, to play with. That's why, for example, is like when I hung out with my sisters, it was different than when I hung out with my friends, because I couldn't do the same things. And no matter how tough your daughter is, no how much of a tomboy is, she's still a little girl. And why would you want to make her a boy?
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying?
Yep.
Why would you want to make her a boy? It's not what it's meant to be. Do you know what I'm saying? It's like, get this. I graduated with a guy that actually dressed his little daughter in constant camo. I didn't even think she was a girl. Do you know what I'm saying? I'm like, but it's what he wanted.
Right.
I'm like, it's not about you. It's about them. You know what I'm saying? So,
absolutely.
Oh my goodness. Don't we have a question today?
We do have a question today. That was awesome. Like I said, it's raw and unscripted, but why? Because everything, like we've said all along, and we're going to get to it's about changing the way you think.
Yep.
Period.
Yes, and I will not be the silent majority.
Correct.
I'm going to constantly yell and scream and be the mean guy.
And you do so well.
Yeah, I was pontificating, whatever the hell that means.
Well, we're still stuck on that.
Yeah.
He's never going to let me live it down. All right, here we go.
What you
Here's
got?
a question. What is multiple chemical sensitivity, and how do you alleviate the symptoms? I've heard of people who, they're very sensitive to chemicals, be that, paint, whether it's, oil-based paint or even latex or perfumes or your
Yep.
cleaning chemicals, you're in the bathroom, all these things, and people have a huge sensitivity, and it really throws
Okay.
off their system.
Yep.
Alleviating it and dealing with, I guess, creating an environment where you don't have to deal with it.
You can't. It's impossible. Okay, let me explain this. Before there was major chemicals that were produced, we were always chemically sensitive, okay? But I want to change the verbiage here, okay? Because there actually is anywhere in human physiology is there a word called sensitivity. Let me change that. There is no biological word in any literature or any scientific journal talking about sensitivity. There is no such thing as food sensitivities. There is no such thing as chemical sensitivities. There is food and chemical hypersensitivities.
Okay.
Hyper, which means, for example, it's not a normal immune response. A sliver creates a hypersensitivity. That's why the immune system creates a redness there. I think since we've been on this planet, guess what happens? There's always going to be a chemical sensitivity. Don't believe me? As people know, I love medicinal mushrooms. Okay, they're one of the. Do you understand that the majority? I think the last stat I read was over 70% of chemotherapy drugs are still derived from medicinal mushrooms. 60% of all medications are derived from some natural element, like an herb, like willow bark when it comes to aspirin and stuff like that. They've actually, it becomes less and less because, once again, you can chemicalize patents. You can't chemicalize natural things that way and make them patented. So the idea is this, so when you look at it this way, if you go back 5,000 years ago, before electricity, before all stuff like that, remember, breathing in smoke, there is a chemical hypersensitivity.
Yes.
Here's what happens. So what you're going to find out now today, we do induce more chemistry, more foreign substances into our body ever in history. So therefore, if you walk through Woodman's aisles of their perfumes, of their soaps, and you smell in that biochemistry that doesn't belong in your body, you're right. Mary Kay and L'Oreal and all those stuff like that do not belong. Those are chemicals. And now your body reacts in a very hypersensitive response because it doesn't belong there. But here's why people are so noticing it today. If you want to exchange the word, exchange hypersensitivity with inflammation. It's equal.
That's good.
Okay?
Yep.
It's equal. A normal immune response, for example, actually increases hyper when actually it's actually induced by some chemistry. But equally, hypersensitivity and inflammation are the exact same thing. But here's what happens. More people are actually so chronically inflamed that when they come in contact with foreign chemicals, things that don't belong in our body, guess what happens? The reactions are so much more dramatic today because you already have a full glass. You already have a full glass, and guess what happens?
It just can't handle it.
That's what happens.
Yes.
Most people, kids today, like I said, here's kids, okay? Kids are this toxic right here. Yes, can I have a rag?
Yes, please. Paper towels right over
Now
there.
listen, see what happens is kids today are born with 3/4 of their glass being what? Being full.
Half full.
No, 3/4 full. Okay?
Yes.
Think about this. So 3/4 of our, for example, children, compared to, let's say, 100, 200 years ago, are this full. Here, put some on here because I'm going to make a little mess. Ross didn't know I was doing this today.
Nope.
So I'm going to give you a great analogy. So here's most American kids today. Here's most American adults today. Well, I'm going to start with the kids because our kids we are becoming such a sick nation because once again, mom thinks it's okay to eat at Culver's every day while she's pregnant because she has cravings. No, go to Woodman's and Festival and get some coconut ice cream and something that's not going to poison your little baby. Because mom, yes. Well, you just offended mom because she ate Culver's while she's pregnant. Yeah, you moron. Stop eating Culver's when you're pregnant or Dairy Queen or any of the stuff. Yes, you're being a bad pregnant woman.
Stepping on toes, stepping on toes.
Yes, because then you're surprised that all of a sudden your kids are born and they have 3/4 toxic, and then you decide to vaccinate them and feed them formula, and they get autism and all these chronic illnesses that didn't exist 100 years ago. That's what happens. That's the majority of our children today. Heck, do you understand that chronic illness, type 2 diabetes, actually when I graduated in 1999, was called adult onset. Do you know what I'm saying? See, what happens is we're actually allowing people to act stupid, and no one's saying it's okay. No one's saying it's wrong anymore.
Challenging it. Yep.
Yep.
You want some of this back?
Yeah, I do want some of it back.
Thirsty?
There,
All
pour
right.
it in there. And see, that's what's happening. Okay, thank you, Ross.
You're so welcome.
So long story short, as we're going through that, this is what's happening to when you look at chemical sensitivity. Most people, their cup is already so full, they're always so inflamed that the minute they come in contact with something, their bucket overflows, their cup overflows, and they're reactive to things that they never did. Think about it this way. My reaction to an egg, I ate egg thousands of times, but it was a little bit inflammatory, and finally my bucket overflowed, and therefore now I became massively hypersensitive and I almost died.
Yep.
That's what happens. See, so we have to stop this ridiculousness. That's why your cup does not understand moderation. Your pregnancy does not understand Culver's. Do you understand? Your pregnancy does not understand Dairy Queen and all the cravings you have and try to justify them. The man should say, no, I don't want my child full of junk when they're born. Do you understand? I'm sorry, mothers, but that's the truth. I'm not being mean to you. I'm trying to get you to change your life and don't realize that.
Change
that
your
was
thinking.
Yes, because do you know why? That $5 ice cream you bought from Culver's, I don't know why I'm picking on Culver's.
don't know.
Probably because I drove by it when I was actually on my way to the office, right? Well, no, we drove by it, and guess what happens? Do you understand the lineup around McDonald's is ridiculous every time we drive by?
Every day.
And you wonder why you're sick, okay?
Yes.
And so the thing is about this is I'm trying
it's
to get you to
convenient.
stop it. Well, it's convenient until, you know it's
You're
not
sick.
convenient? You're sick, and I say, you owe me $5,000 to actually take care of you. And now you're complaining? I'm sitting there going, you spent $5,000 at Culver's over the last 10 years. Stop your bitching.
That's right.
You understand?
Yep. Sorry, Dr. Kelby.
Yes. Sorry,
Beep.
I'm on a roll today.
But honestly, that's really raw and unscripted. So what I always say, but that's a type of answer someone needs to hear in order to challenge the way that they're thinking.
Well, if you don't challenge it now, at least hopefully right now I'm talking to the 27, 30-year-old, 28-year-old mom. Do you know why? Because right now, healthcare is cheap. Healthcare is cheap.
Yes.
It's called going to Woodman's or Festival and going through the organic aisle and grabbing some salad and grabbing some organic chicken breast and grabbing some, good organic spices and grabbing the things and staying out of all those middle aisles that you think that you're being mean by not giving your child all the junk because your girls group that you go out with gives their kids all the crap and you don't want to be made fun of and you don't want to be left alone. You want something? Get new friends.
Absolutely.
Do you understand?
Yep.
Get new friends.
Your kids will thank you.
You know what's really funny? People say, Doc, it won't happen. Really? Trust me, nobody liked me when they first met me. And everybody seems to stick around. I'm not being mean.
No, you're not being mean, but people are going to hear it as anger and being insensitive. But really, you're just, once again, speaking truth.
Well,
what
no,
this show was all about.
You know where my anger comes from? Hurt.
Yes.
Not from people's words, from watching, just like happened the other day.
Yeah.
I actually did something, I can't lie, but I actually did something I haven't done in a long time. I took a little child, a little girl, new patient, because she was diagnosed on the autism spectrum, and the parents were mentally devastated. And the doctors gave her the worst advice, and I listened to the mom crying on the phone, and I listened to the dad heartbroken and getting really bad advice from really stupid doctors, and that's where my anger comes from. Because you know why? Because watching those parents hurt.
Yes.
That's where I get frustrated from. I don't care if people like me. I don't care about your money. Trust me, I'm doing good. I can walk away from all this, but I don't walk away from it because of that mom that sits there and cries and bawls, begging for help. And
Yes.
some mom is going to make fun of her because she won't feed her kids gluten and dairy because she knows it destroys them. And she gets tested properly, and she does everything that her doctor says she shouldn't because she listens to somebody that knows what they're doing, and therefore she gets massively criticized. I'm not angry. I'm sticking up for you, Mom. I'm sticking up for all the moms that, for example, that don't have a voice, are actually, a little bit less of a personality than me to be able to stand up and say what's right.
Thank you again, ladies and gentlemen, for allowing us this time to be able to come into your home, your workplace, or a bus, or wherever you may be, so that you can allow this man and this man right here an opportunity to come in and challenge the way that you think. Continue to like and share, please. This is a message today, like I said, raw and unscripted, but the message is just listen to it. Like and share it. Send us your questions if you haven't. You can send them to Ask Dr. What is it again? I totally just had a brain fart. Ask Dr. Patrick at twwclinics.com. I look forward to seeing you guys next week.